But if it can't sing like wow, 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 like this, one thing it can do is play. But we've got to make it so it's not so complicated in the beginning where you're using dots and you're trying to transpose dots into these letters. That's why in StudioE KEYSongs, we don't do the dots. No dots, no notes, N-O-T-E-S. Only letters, L-E-T-T-E-R-S, letters, letters, letters. Oh, letters. Cool letters. These are great things to have letters in your brain. You know why? Because you can transpose them directly to sight. Really what's happening is in your brain, these dots are being taught to you to transpose into letters, and then from letters into sight of where they are either on the keyboard or, wait a minute, or on the guitar. We don't deal in notes. Those things that we will deal in 5 years. We don't deal in notes floating in front of us because they take our brain translation time. Yes, our brain has to translate these dots, whether they hang on spaces or high or low on lines or spaces or ledger lines or wherever, has to transmit first from here to then here. Letters. Letter, keyboard. No note in between. No reading off a paper, going into brain, transposing itself to a letter, and then going to the key. No, none of that three-way, only two-way. Letter to sight, letter to sight. Oh, I'm on a G sharp, I'm on a G sharp. Possible letters, there's only 7 of them. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, before it starts repeating itself. A, B, C, D, F, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, F, G. Going higher and higher and higher to the right, higher and higher and higher to the right, lower and lower and lower to the left, higher and higher and higher to the letter height, higher and higher and higher to the right. Starting on a letter going lower and lower and lower down actually goes lower and lower and lower to the left. To the left goes down, to the right goes up, to the up goes higher, goes to the down. That's what your brain is already thinking of. Not only is it thinking of that plane of upper, lower as far as pitch versus left, right as far as do I go left if I want to go lower in pitch or right if I want to go higher in pitch. It's thinking of all those things together. It also has to identify a letter and a position on the keyboard. Since it has to do all of that, identify a letter and a position on the keyboard, it has no time at this time to decipher these dotted note things that are put in front of a lot of beginning keyboard players, and they're forced to learn these, which you don't need to do now. That can be 5 years down the line, because these dot notes, these are notes, these are letters, these are notes, these are letters. Notes, which you can draw or read or whatever, are shortcuts to the letters. Yes, it's a great way to learn later, but that's like learning how to write before you learn how to do the alphabet. You've learned from the very beginning that it's important to learn the letters in the keyboards, and that is these letters. All your brain is thinking about is letters. It's not thinking about the dots that were normally what I call notes. These are notes. You've seen them on staff. They are notes. These are beautiful things, but not now. Right now in StudioE KEYSongs, we're learning only letters. We're starting our musical experience with letters. That's what's floating in our head. Why? Because we don't want our brain to have to decipher dots to letters, and then from letters to vertical height and pitch, letters to horizontally, where are they? That's 3 steps. Let's make it 2 steps. Know what letters to play, know what keys to play via the feel and sight. two things to do. What letters, what keys. Not what dots, what letters, what keys, but just what letters, what keys. Like the dots, but not now. Going from low to high or left to right. All those great things that you were learning in your brain, up and down and whatever, you were learning in letters. You were saying, oh, that is a letter. I love letters. Letters are so cool. I can look at this and I can say, I love letters. When I have a notebook, and I asked the prop department, could I please have a notebook, and they got me this. It's okay. So, anyway, a pen, and a notebook, I will say letter D, and on top of it write F sharp. In other words, in height, I'll write on top of it F sharp and D below it. I will write in height. When I write E, I will write G sharp on top of it. I am writing threes. These things I am writing in letters in a notebook on regular notebook paper. I said, can you get me a spiral notebook? And so they got me this one. I said, well, this is all right. I can use it. I definitely can, but I think it should be a little bigger, don't you think? So they went out and got me this one. They're gradually getting to the size that you regularly would have if you have a regular notebook just to write letters in. That's the cool thing. In this whole class, or whatever you want to call studioE, you don't write these. You don't write these. We don't even deal with these. Because there's a theory I have. If you see these dots in front of you, you have to translate them into these letters. If you have to translate them into these letters from these dots, it takes 1 trillisecond or whatever to do. Well, that's fine, but that's too long. Because what we have to do is translate these letters to where they are on the keys, quickly, trillisecond-wise. Why do we need to take this time right now and translate these dots? Where is that on a space or a line or a ledger line or wherever that is? No, that's 5 years down the line. These are what we want to know. Left to right, just like you would read a word. Left to right, going higher as you go left to right. Left to right, going higher in pitch, going higher in lettering, practicing lettering, writing on letters on pieces of paper as an A or a D sharp. Remember, put the hashtag mark, because every time you put a hashtag mark, you are labeling it as a sharp. If you didn't put the hashtag mark, you made a mistake. You got to put the hashtag mark down. Because if it's a D sharp you're looking for, you got to put the hashtag next to it. The D you're looking for, well, that's a different thing. Don't hashtag. But if you need a G sharp, you better put the hashtag next to it. Okay. 4, 5, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 7 plus 5 is 12. There's 12 different letters. Including the sharps, there's 12 different letters. And those are important because when you write a sharp, you have to put the hashtag sign there. The hashtag sign has to be there. If the hashtag sign's not there, it's not represented correctly. You are incorrect. Ding, gong, bang. You must put the hashtag sign there to be correct on the paper when you're writing in the notebook. Because the notebook is the key. This is the key to music. Your timing, your rhythm, or whatever will come naturally. But what letters were you playing that night? What intervals were you playing in your right hand? What intervals were you playing, meaning what were you playing in this right hand, 2 notes on top of each other or rocking broken chords or whatever, along with what were you playing in your left hand? You could write that in a notebook. You could write it by taking 3, 4, 5. 7 plus 5 is 12. There's 12 different letters. Including the sharps, there's 12 different letters. And those are important because when you write a sharp, you have to put the hashtag sign there. The hashtag sign has to be there. If the hashtag sign's not there, it's not represented correctly. You are incorrect. Ding, gong, bang. You must put the hashtag sign there to be correct on the paper when you're writing in the notebook. Because the notebook is the key. This is the key to music. Your timing, your rhythm, or whatever will come naturally. But what letters were you playing that night? What intervals were you playing in your right hand? What intervals were you playing? Meaning, what were you playing in this right hand? 2 notes on top of each other, or rocking broken chords or whatever, along with what were you playing in your left hand? You could write that in a notebook. You could write it by taking like 2 notes, you know, let's just say E and B, and whatever I'm playing, you know, or all together. Whatever I'm playing it. This is just holding. That is what you write. You just write F sharp or something, and then it just stays down there while all these things are happening on top of that F sharp. But let's say a bunch of things decide to hold up on the top part. You just let that hold and don't write anything. But on vertically wise, you write when things happen. There's a single note that happens here or there. You write that in a linear way going left to right. But then you write them in correct height stacks with correct hashtag marks. Hashtag marks? If it's a sharp. You've got 5 of these. There's 5 of these in the sharp family. You gotta remember to write them. They represent a completely different note on the keyboard. You have to know this note to this note quickly. C sharp, C sharp. Just so split second, trillisecond. You have to see this letter in a stack on a page and be able to find it really quick on the keys. If you can learn how to do that, along with some figuring techniques that I'm talking about here in studioE, you will be able to make your own songs rock quickly and also play along with other people's songs that are already rocking. Because you won't go about music by playing it, how can I say, by rote or by traditional book way or instructional method. You'll be doing it by feel, touch, and sight. Do you understand what I'm thinking? A lot of these letters are very great in your brain because they teach the story of identification. These letters represent a place on the keyboard. When you see this letter with the hashtag sign next to it, by the way, it's only one position in relation to 2 sharps and 3 sharps, which are repeated over and over again, higher and lower, going right higher and going left lower, which in the brain is really, in the pitch is really going up higher and going down lower. So you're really going right higher and down left lower. But anyway, D sharp hashtag makes it not on the bottom half of the street. It makes it only on the top half of the street, one of those 5. One of those 5, either the 2 or the 3. It's one of those 5 because it has the hashtag next to it. If it was just a plain letter like this, like B, it is guaranteed it's not on the upper part like this. It's on the lower part. It's on the letter side of the street. So you've got the sharp side of the street and the letter side of the street. Referenced many, many times in studioE KEYSongs. Sharp, hashtag. Letter, no hashtag. Different letters. C sharp, D sharp. Whoops, sorry, this way. C sharp, D sharp. Going from this note to this note. From a sharp to a sharp, there's a space in between, which is a letter note. Sitting down here, looking up at the raised, which is really cool about keyboard, because the sharps are raised above the letters. So your fingers can swing around while they're hanging, while the thumb especially, or any finger, is on the sharps. They can swing under, back and forth, either direction, and go on letters down here that are laying down here. Because the dimension of the keyboard. I always say this. One of the coolest things about playing keyboard is it's in-dimensional. It's not a 3-dimensional. You got to go up to the sharps. You have to go up to the sharps. Then you have to go down to the letter side. Well, I was on a guitar neck, and I wish I had my guitar neck here, but I don't. It's all just frets, but it's also flat. There's no raised parts, which also mixes a keyboard player like me up because I have no idea of how to play a guitar because it's all flat. But to me, the raisedness, I can feel when I'm playing near 3s. I can feel the distance. I can feel the grouping, the little pack of 3s, the little pack of 2s. I can feel them in my fingers by just brushing across them. with my fingers, I've learned to feel the space distance between the 2s and the 3s. Those space distances meaning those 2 letters that touch each other half step apart, called B or C, B, C, B, C, or E or F, E, F, E, F, B, C, B, C, E, F, E, F. Those 2 valleys or straight letters, E, F, E, F, just you can almost feel where you are and identify where you are and dream about where you are and place where you are forever. That one particular place that a letter falls. Like this C sharp is always the lower of the 2 sharps together. Forever and ever and ever and ever. This letter, if you play it on a keyboard, is correct. Ding. That's the correct letter. Your brain just played it right because it saw it quickly and it knew it easily. This sounds so stupid, Jim. Why are you talking about, oh, see a letter, find a note. See a letter, find a note. See a letter, find a note. Because I've discovered that a lot of people can't remember these. They're just thinking about, well, this little dot goes where, and like I'm trying to transpose this into a letter, and then I'm trying to transpose this letter into a keyboard. I got 3 steps here. Note, dot, into letter, into where is it? I'd rather get rid of the note dot right away. 5 years down the line, we can talk about notes, note dots. Now we're talking about letters, 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 letters. Why are letters so cool? Because letters are the basis that we speak and communicate in music. We say to a friend of ours, oh, play the note C sharp. They will. They know their C sharp on their horn or their stringed instrument or their even timpani. They know what a C sharp is. They know where a D sharp is. They know how to play that note. That's the cool thing about the communication of music is it repeats itself over and over and over and over and over again. So you kind of get this first. You got to get this familiarity with these letters and where they are.